So, Jai Hind to all of you. Let's begin our chapter number 11th, last chapter of Supplementary Reader. Right, an alien hand. Ancient education system of India. Right, all of you are having your books and a pencil by your side.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Did you know that India has been the center of learning since ancient times? How did we come to know about this? There are inscriptions on stones and copper, palm leaves records, and our scriptures as evidences of the historic origins of learning in India. Today, we follow an education system in which learning takes place through syllabus, curricula, textbooks, and assessment practices. Have you ever thought what these were like in the past? In this feature story, we will give you glimpses of our ancient education system. The present pronunciation of education stands education, right? Fine. So let's begin this feature story. So the introduction past of past India, or the culture, the history of education in our country, says you must have heard or read that travelers from various regions having different climates and cultures began to visit parts of India from early times. To them, India was a land of wonder. For the fame of Indian culture, wealth, religions, philosophies, art, architecture, as well as its educational practices, had spread far and wide. The education system of ancient times was regarded as a source for the knowledge, traditions, and practices that guided and encouraged humanity. So, can you see in such short, brief one starting para the influence, the impact, the significance of ancient education system of India is highlighted so well, and also how far was its reach, how people were getting to know about what the educational practices or religion or what culture India possesses. Shall we move ahead? The introduction is clear to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
So what comes in the salient features of ancient education system? From the time of Rig Veda onwards, our ancient education system evolved. Evolved means it has come out so beautifully. Evolved over the period and focused on the holistic development of the individual. Holistic development of the individual means complete development. Say, if I talk about you, so not only your social development, but your emotional development is also into account. Your academic development. Academic is related with cognitive, mind, intellect. So intellectual, right? Then if your personality is related, so um, your emotional, your intellectual, your social, your spiritual, everything comes into it. That makes up a holistic total. Okay? By taking care of both the inner and the outer selves, the system focused on the moral, physical, spiritual, intellectual aspects of life. I do hope now these words are quite clear to you. Physical means what? Related to your physical being, your body, right? Your movement, motion. Spiritual means your connection with God. How do you connect yourself? Some spirituality is also essential, especially in our culture. The beliefs and the constitutional bend which we have at present, it does cater, it does include a spiritual part also. We cannot ignore it. And intellectual aspects of life. It emphasized on values such as humility. Humility means though you are so rich, so renowned, so famous, so creative, so learned, so like people know you, you have a public identity, but still you stand humble also. You know how to treat people, how to treat people as per their strata, right? If somebody is of so poor background, you know how to make them feel. That is what humility is all about. Truthfulness, you know the meaning. Discipline is very essential. Self-reliance, how much do you rely on your own self? It also talks about your confidence about yourself. How much do you consider your own worth, your value? How much trust do you show in your own self? And respect for all creations, all creations. When all is added before creation, it does accompany everything into existence, the living, the non living, the nature, everything that you can see around yourself. What respect do you show towards it? The top six lines are clear.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Students were taught to appreciate the balance between human beings and nature. Teaching and learning followed the tenets of Vedas and Upanishads, fulfilling duties towards self, family, and society, thus encompassing all aspects of life. So you can see that by uh, remain dutiful towards your own self, your family members, and society, you are actually touching and completing all the aspects of life. Education system focus both on learning and physical development. In other words, it emphasized, or the emphasis was, on healthy mind, healthy body. You can see that education in India has a heritage. What is the Hindi term for heritage? It's very beautiful. um, find out, let me know. Has a heritage of being pragmatic. Pragmatic means very practical, being pragmatic, achievable, and complementary to life, right? Who can tell me the meaning of this last sentence? Try and share. You can see that education in India has a heritage of being pragmatic, achievable, and complementary to life. Now, this not only talk about the education at present, but it is something which is reflecting on the past, how India has been in terms of its shiksha, in terms of its shaikshic paddhati or education system, right? So it has been so rich. It is not something, very superficial. It is very pragmatic, something who's something which is having its principles based on certain factors which are achievable, right? If English is there in your syllabus, it is there with the objective of making the learner enable enable the learner to appreciate, not only appreciate the language, but to learn to speak, write, thought sorry think, and then communicate in the language of English. So we will be designing such a syllabus and practical set of books or teaching learning material that can help in achieving this objective, where the learner not only would try to learn the basics of this language, but he she will appreciate wheresoever the child will come across this language, if it in the form of a poem, if it's in the form of a paragraph, if it's in the form of a story, right? So by making such important short um, achievable task, we are actually aiming at an education that is having its principles of making the child uh, accomplishing all the goals of his life, and not only of his academics, but of every zone: social, personal, emotional, as I told you, intellectual, spiritual, physical, है ना? तो ये सारी चीजें अचीवेबल होंगी उसके लिए. सो इंडिया का एजुकेशन सिस्टम ऐसा है, एंड कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री टू लाइफ, लाइफ के साथ वो कॉम्प्लीमेंट भी करेगा, है ना. द एजुकेशन सिस्टम विल हेल्प यू इन सक्सीडिंग इन लिविंग योर लाइफ. आर यू एबल टू गेट माई वर्ड?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, such has been the culture, heritage. Nobody has told me the term of Hindi term for heritage. Find it out and share with me.
Virasat.
विरासत, राइट राइट, विरासत. कुछ चीजें हमें हमारी विरासत में ही मिली हैं, है ना. जैसे कि भारत का जो इतिहास रहा है, जो हमारे जो पूर्वज रहे या जो हमारे पूर्व शासक रहे, उनके समय में भारत की शिक्षा व्यवस्था कैसी रही, है ना. ये पढ़ते और देखते सुनते समझते ही बनता है. व्हेन यू स्टार्ट ड्वेलिंग डीप इनटू द हिस्टोरिकल फैक्ट्स, हाउ वाज द तक्षशिला, Takshila was a renowned university of, it is situated in, at present is situated in Bihar, right? And it used to be world renowned university, if you are aware. I'm sure you are.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
है ना. So these all stands as a strong evidence how our culture and how was the education system prevalent in that time, in that period. Now, sources of education.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Who's this? Say your name.
Ma'am, Aditya.
Hmm.
Ma'am, it's Nalanda, ma'am. Takshashila is in Pakistan.
Is it in Pakistan?
Yes, ma'am. Takshashila is in present-day Pakistan. Nalanda is in Bihar.
Okay,
Nalanda
but
University.
Takshila is also famous for university. Yes, I may be mistaken. I take back that, India to, and now I shifted to Pakistan. Yes, at present also, whenever if you wish to visit the place, it will be there in Pakistan, right, Aditya? Right. So, sources of education. Now let's focus on it. And yes, it's a page from a manuscript of the Rig Veda. Can you read it? What is the script? What is the, like, yeah, what is the script over here? It hails from Rig Veda, but what is the script? Is it Pali? Is it like Sanskrit? I don't find it
Ma'am,
Sanskrit.
it's Sanskrit. I think so.
No.
Ma'am, it's Brahmagiri language.
How come it looks like Sanskrit, Aditya? It doesn't look like. It is something
Ma'am,
else.
it's Brahmagiri.
Brahmagiri. Okay. Let us find together. So the ancient system of education was the education of the Vedas, right? Brahmanas, Upanishads, and Dharma Sutras. You must have heard the names of Aryabhat, Panini, Katyayana, and Patanjali. Their writings and the medical treatises. Their writings and the medical treatises of Charaka. Have you heard of Charaka Samhita? Sushruta?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So their writings and the medical treatise of Charak and Sushruta were also some of the sources of learning. People can look up to these resources which are full of learning. Distinction was also drawn. Right now, let's have a look. Heritage, something that is handed down from the past. We have received. It is acting as a legacy, है ना. हमें past में ही, मिलती आ रही है वो विरासत में. As a tradition, tenet stands for the main principles of a religion or philosophy. Okay, so the last word which I read is distinction was also drawn between Shastras, learned disciplines, and Kavyas, imaginative and creative literature. Sources of learning were drawn from various disciplines. I'm sure you're paying attention to the way I'm reading. The pronunciation, the tehrav, the pauses, the nuances. I expect all of you to give such a read whenever you are asked, or whenever you are, going down any such historic or factful text. Are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is no shame in asking your teacher, ma'am, what should be the pronunciation or how to say this word, rather than experimenting with something else. So here we can see a graphic organizer as well. Let me zoom it so that we all can see visual mapping of the various disciplines encompassed in the Vedas. So, if this is Vedas in sutras form, grammar is also there, which is Vyakaran, etymology, which is known as Nirukta, astronomy, Jyotish, ritual, Kalpa, phonetics, Shiksha, metrics, Chandas, right? So, okay, Chand. Okay, yes, correct. Chand. Ma'am says Chand. So, Chand, metrics. Right, so these are the various forms which can be accumulated through Vedas were so rich of all these six things. Hope it is being comprehended by you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Vedas were rich in all these things. One who knows about Vedas, he has been looking up to Vedas, so you must be aware of all these things. Right. So sources of learning were drawn from various disciplines such as Itihas, history, Anviksiki, logic, Mimansa, interpretation, Shilpa Shastra, architecture, Arth Shastra, polity, Varta, agriculture, trade, commerce, animal husbandry, and Dhanurvidya, that is archery. Right. So physical education too was an important curricular area, and pupils participated in Krida. Krida, games, recreational activities. Then
Yes, ma'am. Krida.
then Vyayama Prakara.
Ma'am, Prakash.
Hmm?
Ma'am, Vyayam Prakar. Ma'am, Vyayam Prakar.
Okay, Vyayam Prakar. Thank you so much. You've been so kind. Exercises Dhanurvidya archery for acquiring martial skills, and Yog Sadhana, that is training the mind and body, among others. इतनी सारी चीज़ों से हमारा भारतीय इतिहास और स्पेशली द शैक्षिक पद्धति was full of all these things. But आज का अगर आप अभी स्पेशली जस्ट exclude this period of COVID and all, I believe all these things students are learning and doing in their head only. Nothing is visible in physical form or in online classes, but they all must be doing. बच्चे फोन में ही धनुर्विद्या सीख रहे होंगे और व्यायाम प्रकार कर रहे होंगे, है ना? I wish it stands true. All right, so the gurus and their pupils worked conscientiously wait conscientiously conscientiously. Let me look up for the pronunciation, then I should move ahead. uh, Consci- conscientious. No, it's not like that. Conscientiously, yes. So pupils work conscientiously together to become proficient in all aspects of learning. Okay. So in order to assess pupils' learning, Shastrarth, Shastrarth, learned debates were organized. So see, this Shastrarth is one way of accessing, but assessing. Assess means we are doing assessment. If the child has learned something, or is the or if is he possessing the right knowledge. So this was one such, like written exam is one such form. Similarly, debate was one such form. Able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So, pupils at an advanced stage of learning guided younger pupils. There also existed the system of peer learning. Like you have group peer work, like we do presentations, or we go for single child presentation, right? So one child is explaining about the concept to the entire class. Okay, so this way it used to occur, right? And now I am keeping this chapter till here for today, and now each of you are getting 10 minutes, for sure 10 minutes, and you people have to speak what have you learned so far about Indian education system, its silent features and other things. You have to give a 2 minute sort of speech, as it was so informative, that if you go across past these two pages or maybe three, you shall be able just draw a kind of, like mind map, include all the important points which you can talk about on your own. You need not to look up the text. I want you to speak on your own. Is this task clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, go for it. Go for it. I'm muting myself for some time, and then I shall be interacting with you all.